Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the verdict in the Microsoft FTC trial. A new Black Panther game has been announced. And later this year, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to let us fuck a bear. So
yeah, brother,
I guess it's up to you if you want to listen to the rest of this goddamn show. But I'm your host, Patrick. Joining me, as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, how are you?
Patrick, I'm doing great. I found out you can fuck a bear in a video game. So what else are we looking for, brother?
I mean, truly, what else are we looking for? We got a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, before the show, we were chatting. We're both so sleepy. I'm just so tired. I've had such a long day. That light comes on. I'm feeling an energy talking with you about video games, my brother.
Feeling, yeah, man. I'm rolling on a lot of hours of work and not a lot of hours of sleep. And
well, hopefully today's discussion won't put you or the audience to sleep. There's so much to discuss, but before we do any of that, Cayman, I know you've been a busy boy. You've been buzzing around in your new home and with your job. Have you been playing any video games that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Final Fantasy 16 some more. Not a ton. I feel bad. I feel like I haven't really gotten a ton into it. I really wanted to get back into Diablo and try to finish up the campaign before July 20th. And I still have time. I still got time, Patrick. I still got time.
You still got time.
I'm at the very end of the game. So I got to figure out how to get that accomplished before Season 1, Diablo Season 1 launches, because I am excited about that, Patrick.
Yeah.
So that is a little side note. We got other things we're going to talk about today, but the whole crux of Season 1 of Diablo, and this is something I know we've discussed, you have to re-roll a character every time.
What do you think about that?
Honestly, Patrick, I love the idea.
Yeah.
Because my problem with Diablo 3 was I had spent so much time running rifts with my Crusader that I was so comfortable with the build that I did not want to change. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. No, I feel like this is my main character. I don't want to go and do anyone else. I didn't care about doing anything else.
Sure.
So I never switched it up. The idea of forcing me to play as new characters every time, the hope is that every season that I'll jump in as a new character, get a new feel, do something a little bit different. Will I play as a barbarian again? No.
Certainly not.
Certainly
You'd
not.
You'd be a fool to.
Am I excited to give a whiz going as a necromancer? Better fucking believe I am.
You better fucking believe it, brother.
Yeah, brother. So I'm excited about that. But what I have been playing, Final Fantasy 16, something I don't think we talked about that was like my one complaint about the game was where I was in the game. I felt like the side quests were lacking. Some of them towards the end of like the chapter 2, you would probably call it. We're getting a little bit better, telling a little bit better stories, things like that. Chapter, basically when you get to like that, you're 3/4 of the way through the game part, that 30%, 35% mark, the game really opens up. And that's what I was looking for because Final Fantasy does that. Like that's what I love about Final Fantasy is when the game opens up.
Sure.
The side quests are becoming way more interesting, way more fun to complete. There's bounty quests that you can do that are a shit ton of fun where you get to fight like more powerful, unique enemies, and it really puts your combat abilities to the test. Really enjoyed that. So there are a lot of things that I think like once the game does open up that it gets, if you are a side quest person, like gets better. And so I've been enjoying it. Our listener show friend Nick Swalski messaged me and asked me if I got into a certain fight. And I said I hadn't yet. But from the way that conversation was going, it seems like I'm in for a fucking hell of a time.
I've heard a lot about like later game stuff, just like only as like conceptual business. Like I it seems like there's a lot of crazy hype shit to expect. And I've definitely not gotten there myself. But yeah, no, I agree with you on the side quest thing with Final Fantasy. I've not played Final Fantasy very much since last recording, actually. And speaking of the devil, Sweet Skeet 101 in the chat, giving us a little 101 on the Sweet Squeet. The Sweet Squeet, I said. Hey, Nick. I've not played very much since last week, but there were two things that I didn't mention last time we spoke. That was one of them, actually, the side quest business. I align with you there, and I have not gotten to the point where it's kind of opened up yet. Second thing, something that I've never really noticed in games before that this game did is really, really bad. What do you call it when the camera moves?
Motion blur. Okay.
The motion blur was offensive. It was so bad.
They patched it.
And so they patched it. They patched it. So actually, I think I played a little bit of Final Fantasy after we recorded last week, but that was the last time I played it. So they patched it, turned that shit completely off.
Amazing.
Night and day. Complete night and day difference.
Well, I get that there's like a moment there where they're like, yeah, this is great. And then it comes out, people are like, oh God, I'm going to throw up. And I'm not one of those people that like gets motion sickness like that.
Sure.
Like my favorite story of all time is I saw someone post about how if they can't play a game at 250 frames per second, they get nauseous. And I was like, motherfucker, you can't see real life in 250 frames. Get fucked. But I will say though, it didn't make me sick, but it was very not disorienting. It was almost frustrating, I guess. Was just like, what was the thought process here? So the patch, I didn't turn it completely off. I turned it down like to like the 3/4 mark.
Okay.
And it's just slight there. And the slight there was totally fine. I was like, this actually looks really good like that. Feels more immersive like that, but like full blown motion blur. Good God.
See that, and it's funny. Having it completely off. I still feel like there is native motion blur happening. Like I still feel like I'm getting some, even though I turned it to 0. And that's enough for me. Because I'm not the kind of person that I'm not this fucking dork that you were talking about, but it was bothering my eyes. Like that motion blur it wasn't making me nauseous, but I was like, it's as if I'm not wearing my glasses when I'm playing the game anytime I turn the camera, because it's just so like disorienting. So that I'm glad that that's been fixed. But Cayman, last week on the show, you gave a shout out to a friend of the show, Lucas, for a game he had been playing, Dave the Diver. And it's a game that I had heard tell of. I'd heard some rumblings, some tumblings, if you would.
I would.
And so what did I do? Came in, I grabbed my Steam Deck, I dusted it off. I had to go to the store, buy a duster.
Please tell me you literally had to do that exact thing.
I had to buy a duster and some 409. Spray that shit. Get the dust off of my fucking little Steam Deck baby. Bought Dave the Diver for $17.99. It was on sale, 10% off. And when I tell you I've barely put that thing down since last week, Cayman, according to my Steam Deck. Now, I don't feel like this is true, but if it wasn't true, the number would be so much bigger. Apparently, I've put 26 hours into this game since last week.
Holy shit. Brother.
And so like part of me was like, is it counting like downtime? But if it was counting downtime, it'd be like 400 hours or something, like however many hours are in a week. That's not 400, but it's more than 26.
More than 26. Yeah, that's true.
And so apparently I've played 26 hours of Dave the Diver, and this game is a breath of fresh fucking air. Cayman.
Awesome,
right now it's only on PC, but I cannot wait for it to come to Switch for all of our listeners that have a Switch, because Katie, Elliot, I'm talking to you. Like fucking who else? Terry Pendleton, if you're in the chat, I'm talking to you. Everybody that listens to this podcast, Kayla, if you're listening, Jerica, if you're listening, Rose, my wife, who is not listening right now, everyone that listens to this podcast regularly would like Dave the Diver, because we all kind of vibe in some way, shape, or form with that kind of cozy game. But it is, I would say Stardew Valley is like on a spectrum of cozy. It leans toward the not cozy, because there is like a fair amount of combat in it, and like dungeon diving. It's like chaotic cozy. Dave the Diver is like chaotic cozy, and there's like boss fights. Like there's definitely a lot more combat than a normal cozy game for sure. But this loop I can't get enough of diving down in the day, getting my fish, getting my sharks, getting my fucking little sea creatures, bringing them up at nighttime and running a sushi restaurant. And
that's fucking amazing.
I'm like fucking 4 stars Michelin restaurant or some shit right now. Like I'm making like 10K a night, which Lucas is probably like laughing, probably breaking in like 250K a night or some shit. I don't know. But it also, the pacing of it is immaculate. Like every time you finish something, it immediately gives you like the next thing that, which like, oh sure, like all video games do this, but in a game like this that in a way kind of lacks a structure, like in theory, you could just every day go down, get your fish come up and serve your sushi and just do that on repeat. You don't necessarily have to do the other stuff, but it at a very good pace gives you new stuff to do. And at this point, the game is like so open. Like at first it seemed like it was very kind of surface level. I'm just diving down a little bit, but you upgrade your suit, you upgrade like the weight you can carry. You can get basically a submersible. God rest. And it just, I don't know.
Sweet billionaires.
I'm having a great time with it. So shout out to Lucas for telling you all about that game so that you got me excited about it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people that listen to the show would like it. And now you might be sitting there wondering, Cayman or audience member that I love so dearly, would you say this is a game of the year contender? I don't think so. But that doesn't mean it's not fucking great. And also I would venture to wager. Okay. You throw this game in a different year. You throw this game in, let's say 2021, Cayman.
Oh, so you're talking about when you're throwing it up against Deathloop and It Takes Two.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're throwing it up against fucking God of War Ragnarok last year.
You're throwing it up against Elden Ring. I mean,
yeah, it's a really good game. I'm excited to see like if they're going to be adding like more content. Not that, I mean, I still have a fair amount to go. I think it's, from what I found online, it's 7 chapters. I'm on chapter 5, but it's kind of like go at your own pace in a way. Like I could be on chapter 5 for the next 30 hours if I wanted. Sure. So yeah, I'm having a great time. I also think, whenever it does come to consoles, I think Sid's gonna fuck with Dave the Diver.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I do want to give a quick shout out to. Did you ever play the game My Time at Portia?
I did. Rose loved My Time at Portia. I played a little bit of it.
So Sid was big. It's another one of those Stardew Valley-esque farm sim games with combat. Well, the devs behind My Time at Portia just actually announced their release date for their sequel. It's a pseudo sequel.
Sandrock, is that what it's called?
Yeah, My Time at Sandrock now has a release date. It was supposed to be summer of 2023, but we are in summer and the game's not here. So obviously it's going to come September 26th.
How about that?
So if you are one of those cozy gamers who likes the chaotic cozy, I would highly recommend, if you haven't played My Time at Portia, it's a really fun game. It's a little ugly, a little buggy, but still fun. And My Time at Sandrock, it looks like they have learned from their mistakes. So excited to see that game launch in September.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too. It's a shame that they're fucking liars, though.
Yeah.
September 26th? That's fall, baby.
That's fall, baby. Is it, though?
It is. September. I believe it's the 23rd is when the season changes.
Really? Okay.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's pretty close.
It's pretty. I mean, I feel like at this point in the mid-August to like the first day of October, that's autumn.
Sure. I mean, also, we are quickly approaching a world in which every day is summer. So
yeah, yeah, dude, we're not. The world's on fire.
The world's on fire.